So we're getting ready to do something a little different this time. We're going to go on a trip. Actually, Austin's going with me here. The plan was for a couple hot rodders to do a trip in a Mustang Mach-E. Being a Ford guy, I'm curious about that. They're outselling a Mustang currently, and I'm curious about it. I have a trip I needed to make anyway, so I said, all right, well, my daily right now is a Super Duty that gets not so good gas mileage. So I said, all right, well, let's rent something that's got gas mileage. I'm curious about the Mach-E. Let's do that. Be some interesting content for two hot rodders trying to take an EV trip. So far this morning, budget rental car has done me wrong. I rented a Mach-E. I get there, they don't have a Mach-E. I'm then told that they have never had a Mach-E at that location, and pretty much don't have any on this side of the country. So they put me on a Tesla. I took the Tesla, and
not even a good Tesla.
It's junk. I understand rental cars have a hard life, but this one is beat. It has a tire that is vibrating, bad, and it has a tire pressure monitoring light on that alternates between the air monitoring light and an error code for the monitoring system. And then also, we'll go ahead and do a walk around. This is the back bumper. There's a dent. There's multiple scratches. Actually, I'll go this way first. That wheel is curved all the way around. There's a dent. There is
coming up on the B-pillar.
all kinds of something there on the door. Clear coat on the B-pillar. This wheel also trashed. These wheels on this side are different than the tires on the other side. Those on the driver's side are Continentals, which is a decent tire. This side is an Ironman. I don't know about that one. I already closed it, but the frunk is full of water. The tow hook tow cover is missing.
You missed the seat.
Oh yeah, yep. The seat.
This is your seat control.
The seat control is broken, missing.
You can also see some
Yeah, there's remnants of junk in it.
staining of seats.
So already off to a good start.
It's gonna be great.
I've called Budget. I called Budget and talked to them. Supposedly, there's a Mach-E in Cincinnati. So I'm trying to verify that there actually is one, and we're going to take it to Cincinnati and exchange it. If I can't verify it, then we're probably just going to go back to our airport in Columbus and get something. It might not be an EV, and it might ruin the entire premise of this entire video. So.
Oh, and it's only got.
Oh yes, and they also made a very specific, threatening to tell me that I had to return it with 80% battery charge, or I was going to be charged. I get in it; it's at 60%. By the time I drive it to my house, it's at 48%. So to do as I say, not as I do, apparently.
Projected range is 104 miles.
Yeah.
So you might make it to Cincinnati.
Yeah. Wish me luck. This is going incredibly well. I decided to add a little bit to this as we got ready to pull out. Realized that I also have Coca-Cola splattered all over the inside of the roof, all over the headliner visor, all over this side headliner visor.
It's all down your center console.
All down the center console. I'm fairly sure that this car was in an accident, and it's up here in the rearview mirror. It was everywhere. I'm pretty sure this car was in an accident of some sort. It was covered in Coca-Cola, and they had a 5-year-old clean it. This is the worst car I've ever been in. Rental-wise for sure. And up there as far as, like, I bought stuff out of fields that were nicer than this car. So yeah. I think I'm just going to go to the Columbus airport and exchange it, because I don't even trust this thing to go to Cincinnati at this point. So, all right. So yes, I am shooting this while driving, but I'm not paying attention to you. But this is the steering wheel, so you understand where we're dealing with. I think I got a bent wheel or two bad tires. Yeah, I think I got at least one bent wheel and probably two bad tires. My guess is it's probably the two Ironmans. We're already having an adventure before we even leave. Got up at 6 a.m. It's not terribly early, but we got up at 6 a.m. so we could get on the road early. We are now about to have lunch. We are getting ready to leave the city. Took the Tesla back, told them it was unsafe and it was also disgusting. While I had a really rough morning with them, they did step up and they put me in a Ford Lightning, the EV pickup truck, which isn't the Mach-E that I had planned on, but I'm very happy with this. This is fine. This rides good. With my size, this is very comfortable. It rides much better than the Tesla. And we had the seat back there folds down, so we have plenty of room for all our stuff, whereas the Tesla the trunk was full and we had stuff piled in the back seat, which I don't like traveling with stuff piled up on top of you. So this is 100% better. Now, will I still like it when we are at the end of this week? I don't know, but so far we're doing better. We're going to get something to eat. I'm going to enter my... for clarity or whatever, this is two hot rodders taking a trip in an EV. But I did cheat a little bit. I reached out to my friend Robert Dunn of Aging Wheels YouTube. I'll put a link somewhere. And he gave me some advice on what to do. He actually, I don't have it handy, but he sent me as a loaner an adapter so that I can charge what was supposed to be the Mach-E, it'll be this now, at a Tesla supercharger station. And he gave me, he listed me two different apps to get in order to have an easier time at this. So it's not completely two hot rod guys fumbling their way trying to figure this out. I did get a little bit of help, but we'll see how this goes. And we're going to get some lunch and then we'll get on the road finally. All right, so adventures in hot rodders driving an EV truck on a road trip. We ended up in the middle of nowhere at a gas station that has Tesla superchargers, because we did, as I mentioned before, Robert Dunn had loaned me a I think it is NCAS, I don't know, the adapter so that I can use a Tesla supercharger. Austin and I are not dumb people.
I have an IT degree.
He has an IT degree, and I've turned wrenches for many, many years. We just spent 20 minutes plus in the heat.
Yeah.
We are now both sweating to death to finally get this thing to charge. There's a combination of turning the Tesla charger on, getting the truck happy, locking the lock on the adapter. It's not as simple as it probably should be, but we got the charge. The truck is charging. It's fast charging.
And how long do we need to wait here?
It's charging at 160 kilowatt hours, which is, from my watching Robert's channel, is pretty good.
90% at 4:25 p.m. So we'll be at 90% in 50 minutes.
Okay, and which I don't actually need to go to 90% to get to the next.
There's a river right there.
The next
we can
charge.
take a swim.
Yeah, but yeah, it's fun. Okay, we'll see. I gotta say, the thing's really nice to drive. It's very peppy. When you need to get over, you can just give it a little goose and get right up ahead of somebody. That part's nice. There's a ton of room. I have a Super Duty, Crew Cab Super Duty, and it has more room inside than that does because the seat folds up out of the way. And that's not taking into consideration the frunk. So there are definitely upsides to it. I'm sure once you own one of these for a while, you get used to the uniqueness of getting the thing to charge on time. All right, so I've been super busy and kind of slacked on this a little bit, but so far the hotel charging option has not worked 2 nights in a row. So yesterday morning I ended up charging, woke up at 5 a.m. Couldn't go back to sleep. I was scrolling on my phone and figured, well, I could scroll on my phone sitting in the truck waiting on the truck to charge. So 5 a.m. I'm in the front of a grocery store in the middle of nowhere charging the truck. So that got us through yesterday. Today we're on our way to our appointment and we had to stop and get charged. I just finished. We've been here about 45 minutes and it cost me $30.40 because this is one of the non-Tesla chargers. Therefore, I don't get the discount on it. It's 56 cents a kilowatt hour, which is 2 to 3 times what I've been paying. So far, the decision or the thought process that this is a really good in-town truck that you charge at home every day, but not necessarily good for road trips, is holding true. So, but yeah, that's my update for the day. All right, well, we're on our way home. We did what we needed to do this week, and working our way home. I didn't film every day because you can only show hooking up to a charger so many times. But I will say it's been a problem almost every time. You have to have a handshake between this thing and the truck, and you apparently have to do it in a certain order, but there's nowhere does it say do it in this particular order. But I haven't found anything that works consistently. Last night we went to charge at a Tesla charger, wasted 20 minutes trying to get it to work, and the Tesla app, it says find chargers. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. It says find chargers. Okay, well, you can see I'm next to one. I hit find charger. There's nothing. It says no chargers within range. It consistently has not been able to find the charger that I'm sitting at. I have to type the address in from Google and then it'll come right up. This time it doesn't even want to do that. It literally won't let me charge or use this one because it doesn't exist. So I don't know. I uninstalled the app and reinstalled it. That's not the problem. I have no idea what's going on with it. But every time we go to charge it with a Tesla charger, it's a problem. The Electrify America ones work so far. I've only used a couple of them. They plug in and they work right away. But they are far more expensive, like double. So I spent $35 last time, earlier today, to go from I think 20% to 90%. Drove a couple hours. We're down to 40%, and I was going to have to do it again. This time we're here, and like I said, I'm plugged in, but I can't turn it on. There's no way to turn it on. At least the Electrify America ones, if you don't have the app or whatever, you just wave a credit card at it and it turns on. So, yes, you can charge it forward with a Tesla charger. Sometimes, if you're lucky. I don't know about this EV thing. All right, so we went across town, came across our first Rivian charger. I actually didn't know Rivian even had their own chargers, so but plugged it in, swiped the card, started charging, almost like a gas pump. Starting to think that Tesla is part of my problem. The reason I was trying to use Tesla so much is with the advice of Robert. I got a membership through Tesla, and he was helping me out. So this is not a knock on that. If you have a membership through Tesla through their app, you get a much discounted rate per kilowatt hour. So I was trying to use Tesla to save money, but at this point it's null and void. Trying to charge at the hotels during the week, I wouldn't have had to buy gas or electricity at all, but that didn't work. So I've been buying electricity 3 or 4 times more than I had planned. But that's why we're doing this. It's an experiment to see what real life is. So this one is charging at 175 kilowatt hours, which is it's pretty damn good. Yeah, it's the fastest we've ever charged. So that's cool. Turn that to 90, by the way, just in case. But or to 100, I mean. So yeah, interesting. The Rivian chargers seem to be pretty badass, and they just work, which is it makes it much less annoying and painful when you can just roll up, plug it in, and it works. Also, the Rivian chargers are set up to where, as you see, I am pulled sideways up to them, whereas the Teslas, you have to nose in, and you have to just about knock the charger over with the front bumper to get close enough for their little tiny cord to reach. This one, on the other hand, just works. All right. Guess what? We're charging yet again. 250, 60 miles. About all you get. This time we found a Mercedes-Benz one. It's really just the ChargePoint app, which is one of the apps that Robert had suggested that I download and prepay for, or register for, put my card on, whatever. Anyways, that one and the Tesla one that I was trying to use. So this one was easy. I just plugged it in and hit start, and everything's good. Worked great because it has the same plug as the truck, not the Tesla plug, and it's charging at well, the screen changed, so I don't know, but it's a fairly decent quick charger. So, but yeah, my Mercedes charger is charging my Ford at 150. Yeah, so whatever, that's fun. There was a Tesla one. Oh, by the way, we're here at the Buc-ee's. That's where we're doing this at. So let's see you. On the other side there's a Tesla one, but I thought it would be hilarious to charge at a Mercedes-Benz one, and then I realized that it had the right plug, so it worked out way better anyway. So yeah, it's fun. Also, there is a Denali EV. Robert, you probably like that one. That's what Robert Dunn has, I believe. Very similar truck, only that's the Denali, so it's the real expensive one. Because Denali means add a bunch of money. So, anyways, enough rambling. We're gonna go inside and get some Buc-ee's. Time to get a brisket sandwich and whatever else. So, all right. Just using the phone for this one, but we're back at the airport. Returned it. Helpful hint: if you rent from budget, they have an option for an EV. You pay them $1, and then you don't have to charge it when you return it. I returned it with 17 miles left because I had to charge it. I had to throw some juice in it just to get here, and at like $40 to charge it each time. That $1 was great. Pretty good truck for around town. Probably wouldn't be my choice to go on a long trip again. Maybe a Tesla that was a little easier to deal with. It had a bigger battery. But I like the truck. Good truck. Returned. Nobody's here to check it in. No damage. License plate. Dirty, but no damage. So just a little wrap up on this. Realized that I never really gave my full thoughts on the whole thing. As much as I thought going into this, I think that the EVs definitely have a place. I know there's a lot of guys that have their feet, firmly planted as far as never, never, never. And that's fine. That's your choice. I think that there's definitely a place for them. I think that they're very useful in certain aspects. I think that they're a lot better at some things. That truck is incredibly fun to drive. It does lose a lot by not having the sound. It's quite funny. That truck, we were looking it up, and it's I think mid or low 12-second truck. It's an equivalent of like 500 horsepower, which is crazy that you can rent that from budget. But we were a few times, as hot rodders would do, we were messing around with it, and you would go from a dead stop and you wouldn't hear anything. Being that it's electronic, it's a EV. The traction control on that thing is insane. It hooks exactly the same in the wet and in the dry. Not that we would know, but you don't hear anything. You just hear, you just move, and you start to hear the wind going over the truck. It's a really interesting feel. Anybody that's driven a reasonably quick EV is probably aware of what I'm talking about, but I think my place here has plenty of electricity to be able to put up a charger. So would I own one to run around town, go to the hardware store and pick up stuff for the house and things like that? 100%. If I was going to use it as a car that has a cargo capacity, that would be great. Something I could charge every day. Would I want to take another road trip in that thing? Probably not. The 250 miles on a range is a little inconvenient, to be honest. You don't get very far with that. I did talk to the guy you saw in the video at Buc-ee's that had the Denali, the EV version of it. And he was claiming that he was getting around 500 miles to a charge. And I did see a couple days after getting back from that trip that somebody set a record getting 900 out of one of those trucks. Now, granted, that was probably going like 25 miles an hour or something. But point being is that, even at 500 miles for a range in a truck like that is a deal. It's a game changer. It's double what that Lightning does. I would be able to go from my house to probably pretty close, if not made it all the way to my destination on one charge. And then something else that I needed to cover was I after getting talking to Robert about some of my thoughts, my feedbacks, and mentioning to him that I could never get the hotel chargers to work, was informed that charger I had was a DC charger adapter, and they make the same adapter but in an AC adapter. So you have to have a different adapter for that, for the smaller Tesla chargers. Or maybe it's vice versa. I don't remember exactly how he said it. Anyways, there's an AC and a DC adapter, and I only had one of the two. And so that's most likely why the hotels wouldn't charge. Had that worked, had the hotel charging worked, I would have charged twice on the way down and twice on the way home. 3 times on the way home. We took a roundabout way. We went by and saw some of our friends near Nashville. So, and Austin wanted to go through Asheville, near Asheville, and see how the flooding recuperation had been going. But anyways, it would have been 60 to $120 down and back, and it would have been free during the week. Had I been able to charge the hotels. Because I wasn't able to, I was charging about once a day at another 40 or 50 bucks. Well, about 40 bucks. So was it cheaper than driving my 11 mile to gallon 6.2 Super Duty? Yes. One of the largest reasons, on top of, did I break even or did I make money on the situation by renting a car? Probably not, because I paid $350 to borrow the truck. However, my truck has 160,000 miles on it right now. And can I fix it? Yes. If it broke down, I could have fixed it. Not a big deal. However, I was on a trip for work that I needed to be there. No questions asked. I needed to make it there. My transportation needed to not be a problem. So that's the largest reason that I rented a vehicle. Is I wanted to make sure that I got there, no questions asked. So that's where we at, and it did that. And I probably came out a little bit ahead. It wasn't super profitable. I didn't save a bunch of money by doing what I did. But I got to experience real life with an EV. I had driven my brother-in-law's Tesla Y at one point, but realistically it was like a one-day trip that I didn't get to really live with it that much. Also, it was his truck, so I didn't really get to play with the immediate torque that the EVs have. So I wasn't really I didn't completely understand what it was or how good it was or anything like that. So I would have liked to seen the Mach-E, the one I originally tried to rent, but I was interested in the Lightning as well. It was an interesting way to go. And if I could buy one of those at a reasonable rate, not $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, I think they definitely are an interesting thing to have. I would have to have a gas-powered car in addition, or in my case, I would have my truck to tow with. I wouldn't buy that truck to tow. If I was going to tow a car and a car trailer, from like my house, and I was going to take something over to Lucor or something on the other side of town, I could use the Lightning for it. But anything real towing, like I would randomly go to Bowling Green, to some of the Holly events or something like that. I would definitely want to use my Super Duty. My Super Duty's a heavier suspension anyways, and that's what I would want to do anyway. So, again, that truck, I think if you're charging it every night and you're using it as a roomy car with cargo capacity, I think it's awesome. If you're running around, like Austin said in one of his video about this situation, if for him he runs around half the time picking up parts, I think it's great. It's amazing. It costs little to nothing if you charge it at home, and it just comes off of your electric bill. I saw with the Tesla chargers, with the app, I saw as little as like 12 cents a kilowatt hour, which, you could fill it up for $20 or something. Because of all our difficulties, I was paying on average probably 56 kilowatt hours, and it was $45 to fill it up, which is still, my Super Duty is $125 to $150. So it's still a savings in that aspect, but my Super Duty also got more mileage out of a tank. So the largest reason I went with this rental is just because it's a new vehicle and EVs really shouldn't have any issues because there's very little moving parts in them anyway. So that's the real reason. But it was an interesting test. So I like the truck. It was really fun to drive. Like I said, at one point, one night it was raining, and we found ourselves in Mexico, and may or may not have given all the beans on a wet road, and it didn't care. It launched exactly the same. So that part's fast, is fun. As I mentioned it, on the freeway, if you need to get over, you just give it some gas or, some pedal, and it just darts right where you need it to be. That part is great. The throttle response is way better than like in my big truck. So there's a ton of bonuses. We were able to put all of my equipment that we were taking with us in the frunk and leave it in the frunk the entire week and not have to take it upstairs to the hotel room every night, because when you looked in the windows of the truck, it looked completely empty. We took all our clothes and stuff, we put it in the back seat with a seat folder down, and we would take it inside every night. And so the truck looked like it was completely empty. And it was quite funny. Every morning at the hotel, I would open it to put something in or whatever in the hood, in the frunk. And every morning, somebody's mind would explode. And I would get somebody from across the parking lot yelling, "Yo, where's your engine at?" And not because it doesn't look like a Tesla, and it looks like a standard pickup truck, especially with the hood open. That's the front end of that is the only thing that looks different anyway. So with the hood open, you couldn't tell it was anything other than a regular F-150. So that part was always entertaining. So, but I think it was a good test. It was fun. I liked it. Did I save any money? Maybe a little, but I don't. Like I said, I would definitely own one, but I don't think I would want one if I was trying to use it for long distance trips. Some of the newer ones that are coming out, like I said, with 500 miles to a range, you could do that. You could drive that anywhere you'd want. You wouldn't have to worry about it. If the Lightning comes out with a bigger battery setup and it gets to where they can do that kind of thing, that would be a real game changer. The 250, because you can only in an EV, you're supposed to only charge it to 90 and use it to like 20 or 30, I think. I don't know. It's not. It's when you say 260, it's not 260. It's like 200, because when it starts to get low, then you gotta. First off, seems to use battery power more, and then you also have to be aware that you have to get to a charger, because this isn't like a gas station where you could just swing into the next corner and get one. The other thing that Austin and I kind of decided while we were driving around this week was that if the EV industry wants for the guys that are like myself and or even more, I'm not doing it. I'm gas powered only, that type of thing. If they ever have a hopes of getting guys like us to convert, they really need to have a way to. There seems to be a large amount of like tribal knowledge that you end up getting the hard way. We did find out. We also found out that the part of the reason that the Tesla, that when I was charging with the Rivian charger, you saw the blue Cadillac that was charged next to me. After I stopped recording, he rolled his window down and we had a long conversation. Turns out the reason the Tesla chargers don't show up on the Tesla app, even though I was there and plugged into them, is because the Tesla app knew what I was driving and knew that it would only charge my truck with certain generations of chargers from Tesla, which I didn't know that. I didn't know there was generations of chargers. I knew a couple of them looked a little different, but I wasn't aware that only certain generations of Tesla chargers would charge my truck. And so like that's some information I didn't know. The AC and DC versions of the adapter, didn't know that. The different fluctuating prices of kilowatt hour. Granted, that's like gas. I get that. Okay. But it's, normally when the gas price is, if it's 99 here, it might be $1 here or $1.05 here. The kilowatt hours in the chargers was anywhere from 12 cents to 56 cents. And that's a big sweep, and you can get hurt, if you're doing it, you're driving it a lot and you don't know where and how to look for things. the different adapters, the different, the Mercedes versus the Rivian versus the Tesla versus the, the Charge America versus the, all the different types of charging, the ways that, some of the chargers are laid out, the off-peak hours versus peak hour. Like, there's a lot of tribal knowledge that just isn't given to people when I went to get the truck at budget, they handed me the key and they told me what spot it was in. That's it. Not how to charge it, not how to start it, not how to drive it, nothing. Like, they assume how, I guess. If you're renting one, I don't know, but there's no like, pamphlet about it. There's no, I don't know. There seems to be a lot of tribal knowledge that just isn't given out. So I think that's a problem that if they want people to be able to be more open to them, there needs to be less secrecy guarded information. Now, we did end up having some conversations. Like I said, I talked to the guy with the Denali truck at Buc-ee's. I talked to the guy with that Cadillac that was by the Rivian charger. I had a couple good conversations with people, kind of back and forth about the gas, because I explained what I was doing, was shooting a video about it, and back and forth about that type of thing. And it was interesting. And unfortunately or fortunately, you end up with 45 minutes to an hour to kill each time you go to stop somewhere. And you end up talking to people, because I'm a talker. It isn't like a gas powered vehicle where you can be in and out in 2 minutes. Which is why the 250 miles isn't very adequate. If I got to spend an hour to charge it, then I should be able to run it for a full day. So that's where it becomes a problem. If we went on a 10-hour road trip, but I have to allow for 2 to 3 extra hours to charge it to be able to get there, it's hard to talk people into that. Now, like when we stopped at Buc-ee's, we plugged it in and went inside, and it was done when we got home back, because you can kill an hour in Buc-ee's or 45 minutes in Buc-ee's real easy. But because of the type of people that typically drive EVs, a lot of times we found ourselves sitting next to a Starbucks. I don't drink coffee. I had no interest in going into Starbucks. So then we ended up having to walk to somewhere, or at one point we got an Uber from our truck to a restaurant down the street. At one time we plugged it in when we went to get dinner, and it kept turning off. We got dinner and we walked a block and a half down to a restaurant. But then when I got to the restaurant, it kicked off. It was I don't know why, but it wasn't happy. And so then I had to walk a block and a half back and try to fix it. And then I got it charging again, and I started to walk back, and I got about a block away, and it quit again. So it was a lot of things. And I think there's a lot of possibilities with EVs. I think if you're doing it around town, I think it's great. For road trips, I don't think they're quite there yet, which is, after watching Robert's channel, I pretty much thought that probably was going to be the case anyways. But now I have an experience, and now I can speak from at least a little bit of experience, and not just what I read on the internet or what YouTube told me. So now you can talk from what my YouTube tells you. But anyways, I think that's it. It was fun. It was a fun thing to do. I like the truck. I would own one if it was a reasonable price. I think they're too much money right now, and I think they need to increase the mileage on it. One of those, obviously I'm a Ford guy, but if I was to buy one now, and I had to buy one now, I think that truck, the Chevy truck that gets 500 miles worth of range, I think that's the only one. And that, and I think my logic is backed up by the fact that that's what Robert went and bought. And again, my logic also is backed up by the fact that he's going to get rid of it at the end of the year because it's so expensive, which is too expensive. So anyways, I'm rambling, but thanks for tuning in, and we'll get back to turning wrenches next episode. Thanks. Low places, the wasted downs, and the beer chase.